What's going on, YouTube, and welcome into the Hollywood Rips studio. We've changed the format a little bit. We're separating our hobby news segments and our hot card, cold card, and invest segments. They'll now air on separate days, but welcome into what will be the first episode of the Hobby Headquarters, where we discuss all things sports card hobby related, as well as sports world updates that could have an effect on the card world going forward. Thanks for joining us. As always, I'm Mr. Hollywood. That's Joe Nasty. Let's jump right into the deep end for today. First thing I want to talk about is Topps Now card 26. We're talking about the Olympic card with LeBron, Curry, and Durant on it. No one knew what the population count was going to be. They were selling them for $11.99. It ended up being $13.13 with tax and shipping. What were people paying for? Well, they were paying for essentially a chance at hitting this one-of-one triple autograph card of LeBron, Durant, and Curry. Of course, now that we know how many they sold, which was 588,000, we now know the odds of you hitting that card. The odds of hitting the one-of-one triple autograph are officially 0.00017%, and the odds of hitting any parallel at all are 0.06%. So you have a 99.99983% chance of not hitting the triple and a 99.94% chance of not hitting a single parallel. Of course, what a business model it is for Topps when you can sell 588,000 copies of something that 99.9998% of people will not get what they are trying to search for. Of course, the print run being 588,000 is a massive print run. So this now means that the base cards will probably be worth, I don't know, 10 cents, if that.
Yeah.
But bounties have been issued on this one-of-one card. Geoff Wilson from Sports Card Investor issued that 100K bounty plus a VIP experience, first-class tickets to fly out to Atlanta and go to a Falcons game, and he'll give you 100K in cash. And then, of course, Ken Golden, the very next day, the director of Golden Auctions, offered $150,000 down for the card just to consign it with them.
Yeah.
He was going to guarantee you 150K and then auction it, and you also get the remainder on top of that. So maybe it's 300, 400, 500,000. Who knows what the card is worth, honestly. There's been other sources that have said that have offered bounties of 200K, 250K, but who knows the legitimacy of those. But I want to get your thoughts on how insane this pop count is, one, and the odds. And two, do you think this card is worth over 500,000 or less than 500,000?
Yeah. Do you speak German? Because I feel like someone offered you some sausage and you're just going 9, 9, 9, just over and over. I think you are a Western European man, but
I may speak German. You'd be surprised.
I would be surprised. Here's what I think. And I've got a bit of a saucy opinion on this. Not only do I think it's worth less than 500,000, I think as we sit here right now, I think it's not worth anything. I think
the triple auto.
I think no one will care about this in a month.
Really?
I think no one, honestly, as we sit here, it's been like what? It's been a week.
Since the Olympics was over.
And no one cares. When do you care about Olympic basketball? Will you care about Olympic basketball in October?
No, but I would still care about this card.
No, I don't think you will. I think
Really?
It got released a week ago. The news popped about it. And now we're talking about it, obviously, so it's very important. But I think next week, it's not going to matter. And as like everything we're going to talk about over the course of today, this episode, the Cardboard Critics episodes that come out separately, like there's a trend here. And a lot of what happens matters on what's happening in the moment.
Yeah.
Yes, LeBron, Curry, and Durant matter all the time, and those are future Hall of Famers and the greatest of this generation. And it's super cool. But this is my example. When we were still in school, yikes, the 2008 Olympic gold medal game was perhaps the best basketball game I've ever seen. USA versus Spain, Kobe Bryant coming off of his only MVP season.
And running over Pau Gasol.
Running through Pau Gasol after they had just traded for him in February, right?
Yep.
Kobe took a team with Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, Chris Paul, and it was Kobe Bryant scoring, 10 points in the last minute? It was an unbelievable game. And if you talk about it now, no one cares. Truly, you look like an old fart.
Yeah.
And because of that, as cool as Curry's moment was with all the threes in a month, no one will give a you know what.
Well, I think this card actually will sell for closer to 500,000 than
it will
than a couple
I just think they're
100,000.
fools.
But look, at the end of the day, the person here's the thing. This is the first time Topps has had a card like this explode to this many copies, right? So I think this is kind of a recipe that Topps looks at and they say, oh, wow, this really worked. And I think they're going to keep doing this now in the future, okay?
Perhaps.
So I do think the card has the potential to sell for between 500,000 and $1 million. I do. But in a couple years, or say a year, I don't think it would get nearly that. I think this is like a hype piece, honestly.
Yeah. And that's sort of what I'm saying. Like, in
Yeah.
the moment,
I'm with
how
you.
fun. But, like,
I'm with you.
November, no one will care.
I'm with you. I think maybe it's a $500,000+ card in the next month or until it surfaces. But after that, I think it's going to lose 80% of its value. That's my thought.
It's brilliant by Topps. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah.
But we're going to move to our next hobby topic, and we're right back here to CT scanning, because this was a really interesting one, because Geoff Wilson, who of course is the host of Sports Card Investor, shout out Jeff, claimed on his show that CT scanning is not really a big deal, and that it is not making a difference for 99% of collectors, and that the hobby should not be worried about CT scanning. Both of his co-hosts disagreed with him, like, in a major way.
Yeah.
And his two co-hosts being Teapot and Doug. Why are you laughing? I 100% agree with Jeff's co-hosts that this is a major problem still. Because, yes, 99% of the people that are, 99% of the people that are buying boxes of wax, sure, they're buying Topps Chrome off of the shelf. And you're not going to worry about buying a $200 box of Topps Chrome, because these scanning companies are charging $75 to scan one pack. And it's also crazy to me that they're now advertising, oh, we'll scan your pack for $75. So yeah, you're fine with that. But the problem is the really big cards and the old sealed wax. That's like the big problem, right? If you have a box of Flawless from Mahomes' rookie year that's maybe worth $50,000, well, is it really worth $50,000 anymore if I can just take it to a scanner and know whether I have the Mahomes or not? No, of course it's not. And that's a huge part of the hobby, is people that invest in sealed wax. And for that reason, I think it's ridiculous that Geoff thinks this has no bearing on the hobby, or it doesn't affect the hobby. Of course it affects the hobby. This is a huge part of it. What are your thoughts?
Sorry. It's just like, how do you have one guy with a nickname, also Teapot, and then it's just the way you pronounce
Tyler.
I
believe it's Tyler.
Doug.
Doug.
Yeah, Doug. It sucks. I mean, my opinion hasn't changed over the last 3 weeks or so. It still sucks. But it's not illegal. And it takes out from the fun, and it takes out from the whole purpose of everything, but it's not illegal. And this is not a league with like a set rules. You know, it's just like these people are gaining an advantage that's really annoying, kind of lessening the value a bit. But at the end of the day, it's not the first time, and it's certainly not going to be the last time that someone's going to use a monetary advantage to, get a leg up on everyone else. It's annoying, but until the companies do something within their own packaging, it's not going to stop. And again, this isn't like the MLB or the NFL being like, well, here's our guidelines. This is an entity that has no guidelines. This has no guardrails. And so, this is just sort of the beginning of how people are going to gain an edge.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's very much the beginning because these companies, Topps, Panini, Leaf, whatever company it is, they will begin to implement ways to avoid this. So they will start putting elements in their boxes or packs that cannot be scanned through.
Like wind.
yeah, exactly. Or like, what if they had one of those like you know when you steal money from a bank? Not that I've done that before, but like how the ink explodes on the money, and like the ink, if it gets like so much as an X-ray on it, like ink explodes and destroys the. They're not going to do that.
No.
But look,
could you imagine what it could ruin?
Yeah, I know. Okay, but they will come up with a way where new boxes cannot be scanned like this. They will. Like, mark my words, they will. The big question is what happens to cards like up to then, right? All the sealed wax up to then, I think this has a huge effect on it because now you got to wonder, oh, am I gonna buy this box of 2003 Topps Chrome and just hope to God it hasn't been scanned for $20,000? Like, no, of course I'm not going to do that. And so the price will adjust down. Those are my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I need to hear from Doug.
Doug Teapot, we're with you. But next story, first ever Fanatics Fest at the Javits Center in New York City, of course hosted by Fanatics.
Go figure.
I don't know that the marketing for this was quite as good as what was needed because after seeing the videos of what this convention looked like in New York City, I am legitimately sad that I missed it.
No.
They had like a 40-yard dash area. They had like a hockey shooting area where you're trying to hit the targets. They obviously had the baseball throwing, football throwing. It was a card show. It was a memorabilia show. It was like a celebrity, crazy celebrity meet and greet and signings and crazy box openings. But obviously Fanatics has more money than everyone else in the hobby. And the big advantage that they have, and I'm going to compare Fanatics Fest with the National, because the National has been the biggest card show for a very long time. Fanatics has exclusive agreements with virtually every big athlete in the hobby at this point. We're talking LeBron James now. We're talking Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. These are people that were at Fanatics Fest. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Livy Dunn, Travis Scott, Gronk, Derek Jeter, Ant, Jerry Rice, Kevin Durant, Jay-Z, Kareem, Iverson, Melo, Barry Sanders, Ben Stiller, Lil Wayne. We can go on and on and on and on and on. It was a crazy, crazy lineup of people. But I think, and Fanatics has also now said, I saw this somewhere on the internets, they will move this show around. So it won't stay there. I heard rumblings that it will come to LA as well, which would be huge. But in my opinion, this could have been marketed a little bit better to really know what was going to happen. But I think this is a huge win. I think the National could be in some trouble and could have some stiff competition because this show looked a lot more high-tech than the National.
Yeah, it did.
It's backed by, a company that has tens and tens and tens of billions of dollars.
Yeah. And partnerships.
And partnerships with the big athletes and the celebrities to get more people out. And with the leagues. Yeah, exactly. This is really just another power move from Fanatics to just punch someone else in the face and say like, hey, you're making money off this? Well, guess what? I'm going to come in and I'm going to upend you and I'm going to take the money. What are your thoughts on Fanatics Fest 2024?
You know what it kind of reminded me of? It's, of course, owned by Michael Rubin,
right?
The man out in Philadelphia, I believe, or at least he was born in Philadelphia. Are you familiar with his white parties?
I'm very familiar with his white parties.
So he has his group. He very much has an inner circle of friends and celebrities and athletes.
Oh, yeah.
Because basically anyone that gets an invite to that party, it sure seems like made their way to this. He's done a pretty remarkable job of networking. He's done a pretty remarkable job of just gobbling up anyone and everything in the sports, memorabilia, and entertainment world.
Yep.
Because not only were Derek Jeter and all the Knicks and this, that, whatever, were there. You said Jay-Z, you said Lil Wayne. He's got the partnerships with Travis Scott. All the main influencers were there. It's like...
Travis Scott had his own cards come out
Yeah,
at the show.
I know Speed, the influencer streamer, was there. So it's more than just like your favorite athletes. It's anyone you would consume, right? Their product you consume. So it's very cool. It's crazy that they have this much reach, and the Fanatics tentacles are probing so many different avenues. But it was very clear, whoever gets an invite to his party is like, well, you can come to my party, but I need you in New York in August. And they're like, all right, fine, looks good to me. But you're right, it looked pretty hype.
It looked like a great time, let's be honest. We saw like Gronk doing a 40-yard dash against a bunch of kids. Gronk spiked one of his own cards on top of a 1952 Mickey Mantle, which was insane. We saw Livy Dunn dress up as her boyfriend.
Oh, that's cute.
Paul Skeen with the mustache and everything and throw a pitch. We saw her doing 40-yard dashes.
She raced someone. We
saw Peyton Manning opening like a $50,000 box of 2017 Flawless to try and hit a Mahomes RPA. We saw an entire box of 2018 Prism ripped to try and hit the Luka rookie 1/1 black, which hasn't been hit yet. So overall, crazy weekend.
I think this is the marketing, though. It comes out of nowhere, and then now people talk about it.
Yeah, now people look at us.
Yeah,
and
I think that's sort of stronger than pre.
Whether it's in LA or not, I'd be more excited next year to go to that than the National. I'm just saying.
What if it was in Bakersfield?
Still Fanatics Fest because I don't have to fly to the East Coast.
Fair enough.
But we're going to move to our next story. And of course, Backer from, I believe, Blaze Sports Cards, he offered a $1 million bounty for the Victor Wembanyama Topps Chrome Superfractor autograph. Of course, Topps is bringing back Chrome for the first time in 15 years. The cards are unlicensed, but Wemby's Superfractor, we've shown it on this show before. He's kind of turned backwards, so you cannot see that there's no name on the jersey. It would just have been a blank black jersey with the number 1.
It's a very sensual look, too.
Yeah, but now with him kind of turned away, all we see is the 1 in the Wembanyama, and so it actually looks pretty cool. But he's offering $1 million for it. Personally, I do not think that card is worth $1 million, but as these bounties are, as it works, they offer these bounties to pump up the price and the sales of the product and breaking that product. So they will make the money back, or a good amount of the money back, in doing breaks by promoting it this way. So realistically, to them, $1 million doesn't really make a difference because they're going to make money selling the product because they're offering this bounty.
Sure.
I think the card is probably worth, say, if it were to PSA 10, I'm going to go ahead and say, I think the 9 Black Shimmer 1/1 Wemby out of Prism did 500 and something thousand.
Ooh.
If it 10s, I think it probably is somewhere between like 5 and 700,000 maybe. The other 1/1 Black Prism Wemby that got a PSA 10, I actually do think would probably be the only one that's probably a legit $1 million card if it ever went to auction.
Really? Oof.
In my opinion. What are your thoughts on this bounty? What are your thoughts on the Wemby Superfractor auto? Of course, it's the only autograph that you can get of Wemby from his rookie year because he is Fanatics exclusive.
Oh, then I mean that's pretty cool. I mean,
yeah,
the only autograph perhaps. The only autographed card is saying something. I like the look of the Prism better, the shiny one, right? So,
whoa, you like the look of the Topps Chrome better?
Yes,
shinier.
yeah,
because the Prism is just black.
Sorry, yeah, the Chrome. I like that card better, but there's something to be said about the only cards you can get that have autographs on it. So, if you got to flaunt it, if you want it that bad, go do what you got to do. We talked about it earlier. Like, get the advantage that you think you can, and go from there.
Would you take the bounty? If you pulled that card, would you take that $1 million bounty? Because here's the other thing. If that happened, I bet you Ken Golden would chime in and say, I'll give you the $1 million and give it to us at Golden, and we'll sell it for more than that and give you the difference as well.
Yeah.
Would you take the bounty?
I would play all the different entities for sure.
But you would sell it immediately.
Yeah, I mean, it means more to other people than to me.
Yeah, I mean, how can you not? Yeah. I would sell it to you for sure.
Yeah, especially right now at the peak of his value.
Yeah, but moving on to our MLB update. The AL East is still very much up for grabs.
Yeah.
The Yankees are half a game up on the Orioles. The Central has been pretty wild the last few weeks. The Royals and the Twins have been seriously hot. They are now I believe the Twins are now, the Twins are 1.5 games behind the Cleveland Guardians. Houston has opened up a 4-game lead in a week over the Mariners, who have gone 5-5 in their last 10. Philly and Milwaukee are looking pretty comfy, although Yelich it was just confirmed that Yelich will be out for the season-ending back surgery for Christian Yelich. Dodgers are hanging on to a 2.5-game lead in the West over the Padres. The D-backs are 3.5 games back. Division race is really, really starting to heat up. I think it's going to be a really interesting last few weeks of the season here. I think as we sit here today, I believe 45, 46, 47 games to go for most of these teams. What are your thoughts on the last week in baseball? Do you see anything that surprises you, number one? And B, I guess that's A, and then B, what do you think? Do you think any of these players could potentially see their card markets explode or implode, depending on what happens in the next 3 to 4 weeks?
Yeah, that's a really good question. The NL West, the AL East, the AL East has been a dogfight all year long.
Whole year.
And it's going to continue on until the very last day, I'm sure. But you said the AL Central, out of nowhere, those Twins. I think the player that could explode, depending on what comes up, is someone we've talked about on the show, or, the different versions of the show. That would be Royce Lewis. Because when he plays, he's very good.
Would you look at that? That was not planned.
That was not planned. And I didn't even look at your...
Look at that.
I truly didn't even know he was going to ask me that question.
Lewis.
Maybe you implanted that in my mind. But
Maybe.
When he plays, he's amazing. And when he's playing, he's leading the Twins into a division race with the Guardians. So that's who I think would probably...
He hasn't been great. Honestly, the past month, he hasn't been great.
But he hits the ball so hard.
But he is the guy that has the potential to hit 5 out in a week.
Yeah, 100%. I think anyone on the Astros is pretty set. I think everyone on the Dodgers is pretty set. Maybe like a Dylan Cease if he carries them to to a division title.
When does Kyle Tucker come back?
I'm not sure.
Or is he done?
I'd have to look that up. It doesn't really matter. They can take their time. They're going to win that division.
Jordan's heating up majorly. I could see Jordan having a strong finish to the season and his cards going up in price a bit.
So I think it's just really interesting that we sit here 6 weeks until the end of the year and no one's really separated themselves from the pack as a clear favorite because they've all had pretty bad down spells as teams. The Yankees, Orioles, Dodgers, Phillies, certainly the Guardians. They've all had cold spells. But I think you would agree that if the Dodgers get their pieces back as they hope and they contribute as they should, they probably take that mantle.
Although, Muncy's coming back in the next few days, apparently. Yamamoto's throwing sim games. Yep. Although, not good. Glasnow back to the DL for elbow inflammation. I don't want to say this could be it for Glasnow for this season, but knowing how other pitchers have fared, this could be it for Tyler Glasnow this season.
And Freddie Freeman has a jam finger.
It could be, yeah. And of course, Freddie had to sit out the day with that middle finger.
Which finger?
This one.
This one, okay.
But we're going to move now to our NFL update. Of course, the season is just 3 weeks away, I believe. 3 more Sundays until NFL Red Zone returns with Scott Hansen. Yes. But we have some big preseason news, and every year we have a lot of crazy preseason news and injuries that happen.
Yeah.
What are our big ones that we want to touch base about that could affect the card markets of these guys going forward? J.J. McCarthy, of course, is the elephant in the room. He fully tore his meniscus.
It's tough.
Looked fantastic, though, in his first preseason game for the most part, aside from that one pick, which was awful.
Yeah, that was bad.
But that was bad, but we'll give him a pass because the rest of the game looked very good. Justin Herbert is struggling with a plantar fascia injury. They're sort of monitoring that. And remember, Justin Herbert lost almost all of his weapons on offense.
Sure did.
Keenan Allen no longer there. Although Keenan Allen, I just saw a picture of him the other day. Apparently he's gained like 25 pounds. He's actually like...
Deep dish life in Chicago.
Yeah. He looks deep dish now. Puka Nacua is week to week with a knee injury. Hopefully he's ready to go for the Rams.
Stafford's banged up too.
Stafford is banged up as well. Who else? Marquise Brown had the sternoclavicular dislocation. That's going to be 4 to 6 weeks for him. Jordan Addison was carted off the field. Jahmyr Gibbs is injured. And then, of course, we are keeping an eye on the guys coming back this year from injury. Let's talk Aaron Rodgers, coming back from that Achilles, along with Kirk Cousins, also coming back from an Achilles. Joe Burrow coming back from that nagging calf injury all year. Nick Chubb, who destroyed his knee last year. I mean, literally tore everything there is to tear. ACL, MCL, meniscus, the whatever the capsule is called. I mean, everything. Tank Dell, of course, had that fractured fibula last year, and then he got shot like earlier this year. So Tank Dell, I think Tank Dell is actually in for a big year. TJ Hawkinson, of course,
Stay out of the wrong areas.
Of course, Vikings tight end with that ACL, MCL. Sam Darnold, of course, is now going to be the one throwing to TJ Hawkinson. Of these players, are you looking forward to any of them in particular? I will say I am actually looking forward to Tank Dell coming back. I think he was kind of underrated last year. I think he had like 700 yards and 7 touchdowns or something in 12 games, which is pretty amazing. And now let's throw in another Pro Bowl receiver on the other side of him with
Diggs.
Yeah, with CJ Stroud. I think Tank Dell could actually have a breakout year, and that could be possibly one of the best 1-2 punches in football. What are your thoughts on what's happened in the preseason? What are your thoughts on anything that's happened that could affect the card markets of these guys? NFL 2024, go.
Tough to be in the Vikings locker room right now. They're all going down.
Can you imagine? Like, their draft pick dies in a car accident.
Oh, yeah.
McCarthy goes down. Addison goes down. They had another corner go down, I believe. I mean, it's just been crazy for the Vikings.
Something's in the air. The one I'm looking forward to has to be Aaron Rodgers, right? Good or bad. Like, does he come back and even be close to his effectiveness? I mean, probably not. But, like, does he come back and stink up the room?
No.
Probably not. But it'll be fun to see either one. That's where my mind's at, to be honest.
Yeah. I think the Jets are actually going to be pretty good.
I think they have a good roster.
And my reasoning for it, we'll talk about it later this week in our other show, The Cardboard Critics. Their schedule is very easy.
As opposed to last year when you took a look at it, it was like the first 4 weeks were... You knew it was going to be a struggle.
They have one of the top... I mean, they got one of the top 8 easiest schedules in football this year. But that'll wrap things up for us here at the Hollywood Rip Studio for the first episode of the Hobby Headquarters. Hope you enjoyed today's show. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below, and to smash that notification bell so you know when our next video goes live. So until next time, I'm Mr. Hollywood. That's Joe Nasty. We'll see you next time right back here at Hollywood Rips. Mr. Hollywood, Joe Nasty, out.